of COVID-19. Let's get the details in this report.
The effects of COVID-19 are still very high, posing health danger in many people, especially those that live in densely populated areas or failing to observe the norms of the new normal. Health Minister Dr. Chitalu Chilufya on the floor of Parliament revealed that the death toll for COVID-19 deaths has risen to 108 since the first case of the COVID-19 was recorded in March this year. Dr. Chilufya also told the nation through Parliament that 190 new positive cases have been recorded, of which 22 are in a critical condition under oxygen support.
Allow me to update this august House on the current COVID-19 situation in the country. And as we speak today, 17th July 2020, Zambia did record 190 new cases of COVID-19, and this was out of 848 cases. Mr. Speaker, these cases have been picked through routine community screening, healthcare facility-based screening, contacts to those who are already positive, a few health workers, and those who have been brought in already dead. Mr. Speaker, the cumulative number of COVID-19 cases has gone up to 2,620, and this is out of 67,086 tests done since the outbreak of the COVID-19. The number of recoveries on a positive note has been 1,434. Mr. Speaker, on a sad note, I'd like to report a total number of 108 deaths that are linked with COVID-19. With the revision of the definition of a COVID death by the World Health Organization, Mr. Speaker, Zambia has revised its figures as follows. Out of 108 deaths, 84 died within the community, and these were brought in dead. 85 of the 108 deaths have been classified already, and 22 are classified as COVID deaths.
In response to a point of order that was raised by United Party for National Development, Monze Member of Parliament Jack Mwimbo, on whether it was in order for Patriotic Front cadres to continue meeting in large numbers against the COVID-19 regulations, Dr. Chilufya indicated that nothing has changed. In fact, the laws have been stiffened to enable people to follow the health guidelines. The minister then said it is government's desire to ensure that lives are protected, hence the need for anyone to take their part in the fight against COVID-19. He says people should not be relent in making sure that they mask up, observe social distancing of at least 1 meter to avoid the spread of the pandemic.
The highest priority of the Patriotic Front Party government, under the stewardship of His Excellency President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, is to ensure health for all. Succinctly put, universal health coverage, health for everyone, everywhere. As part of this agenda, Mr. Speaker, protection of the public from public health emergencies such as COVID-19 ranks high on the priority list. To this effect, Mr. Speaker, the Public Health Act was invoked, particularly sections 28, 30, and 114, chapter 295 of the laws of Zambia, to ensure that measures are put in place to protect the public from COVID-19. Mr. Speaker, this was all in the aspiration to prevent and suppress COVID-19. Mr. Speaker, the response plan that government had put in place was adjustable and was informed by the evolution of the pandemic. To this effect, Statutory Instrument 21 and 22 were invoked, and thereafter Statutory Instrument number 62 of 2020 was invoked, and this particularly referred to restriction on public health gatherings.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
In other news stories, Golden Party of Zambia has charged that Zambia needs a new economic order to respond and adapt to the new normal beyond short-term economic stimulus packages. Party President Jackson Silabwe notes that the global trade has slowed down as a result of the closure of borders and the lockdowns on major economies that trade with Zambia, thereby affecting the economy negatively. The opposition leader is therefore calling on government to initiate a solid long-term economic plan recently announced short-term interventions. Mr. Silabwe says Zambia needs a grand economic reset urgently to curb the adverse economic effects on the people. Meanwhile, Mr. Silabwe is calling on the Economic Association of Zambia, EAZ, to hold an economic endeavor that will look into the Zambian economy critically during the COVID-19 economies. He says an economic endeavor will help provide solutions for a more resilient local economy where Zambia can turn COVID-19 effects. Let's get the details in this report.
The Zambian economy was projected to grow at 3.2%. It has now been revised to be lower, around 2%, as a direct consequence of challenges facing the economy, chiefly due to the effects of the coronavirus. Our major economic backbones, such as tourism and mining sectors, have partially closed down. Hotels and lodges have recorded significant reduction in book rates, from 50% to less than 20% for the same period last year, resulting in more job losses. As Golden Party of Zambia, we wish to call on the government of the Republic of Zambia to initiate a solid long-term economic plan in the COVID era, beyond the recently announced short interventions. Zambia needs a grand economic reset urgently to curb the adverse economic effects on our people. Further, we call upon the Economic Association of Zambia to convene an economic endeavor that would look the economy of Zambia critically during the COVID era period. An economic endeavor held in good faith can produce solutions for a more resilient local economy for a prosperous Zambia. Let's turn COVID-19 effects into economic opportunities for a better Zambia.
MMD Deputy National Secretary Mr. Gregory Mofu has called upon the Speaker of the National Assembly to close Parliament in light of the reported COVID cases. The Clerk of the National Assembly, Ms. Cecilia Mbewe, on Wednesday, the 15th of June 2020, announced that 3 members of Parliament and 10 National Assembly staff had tested positive for COVID-19. In a statement circulated to the media this morning, MMD Deputy National Secretary stated that the COVID-19 threat had become real in Zambia. Mr. Mofu then urged the Speaker to close down the National Assembly in a bid to prevent the further spread of COVID. In other news, Minister of Foreign Affairs Joseph Malanji says Zambia and Rwanda still enjoy sound bilateral relations. Addressing the media on Friday, Mr. Malanji says he traveled to Rwanda as a special envoy to the president to assess certain allegations made against Zambia and the reports that were made by a rebel leader appearing in the High Court in Kigali. Sankara Nsabimana, a Rwandese national, appeared in the Nyanza High Court on Monday, where he pleaded guilty to all charges but said that he was misled by some individuals and claimed that he was financially helped by President Edgar Lungu of Zambia. Mr. Malanji says he was informed by President Kagame that the allegations are not credible as prior to the arrest. Sabimana had traveled to 5 countries that do not include Zambia. The minister says the government will continue to investigate why Sabimana chose to falsely mention President Edgar Lungu in his court testimony. Let's get the details.
The allegations, of course, which have been made to the President of the Republic of Zambia are not coming from the government of the Republic of Rwanda. These allegations are coming from a convict. I had a lengthy meeting with President Paul Kagame as a special envoy of the President of the Republic of Zambia, and the government of Rwanda and President Paul Kagame was very categorical that this convict had been to 5 countries prior to his arrest, and Zambia was not one of them. So I was very categorical about this, and President Kagame said to me that they did not give credence to these allegations being made by the convict. When the story came out in social media, of course, I know now everyone who has access to a phone wants to be a media technocrat, and we cannot act on impulse. We had to make sure that we had bilateral engagements with Rwanda to make sure that when we give you a response, it is from an informed position. So I can mention to you that our bilateral relationship between Zambia and Rwanda are intact.
Increased water allocation to Kariba Dam aimed at improving power generation. This follows a review of the hydrological outlook at Kariba Dam that was undertaken at the end of second quarter of 2020. Zambezi River Authority Chief Executive Officer Engineer Munowadafa Munyaradzi says the authority has since increased the water allocation for power generation operations at Kariba by 4 million cubic meters. Mr. Munyaradzi explains that as agreed operational framework for Kariba, the additional water allocation will be shared equally between ZESCO Limited and Zimbabwe Power Company, ZPC, for their respective power generation operations at Kariba. Mr. Munyaradzi said this at an upward revision of the combined water allocation centimeters to 27 billion centimeters. He says the authority will continue to monitor the hydrological outlook for the Kariba catchment and water levels at Kariba Dam and keep the public informed accordingly. We do take our last
Stay home, stay safe. Times have changed. With the advent of the coronavirus, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company would like to advise its esteemed customers to avoid visiting crowded places. You don't have to move to pay your water bill. You can do it in the convenience of your home. You can pay your water bills through Zanaco Zapit, Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and FNB. You can also use Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel Kwacha mobile money transfer services. For any inquiries to report a fault, please contact our customer service on +260 211 251 571, +260 975 618 618, and toll-free line 5957, Zamtel only. You can also simply email customerservice@lwsc.com. This public announcement is brought to you by the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Water is life. Sanitation is health.
Msika is here. We have you all covered with just 150 kwacha. You can advertise every day from 17 hours to 18 hours. For a 30-second ad, get the benefit of selling your products and services on Msika. For more details, call our marketing department on +260 953 995099, +260 962 444 726, or +260 971 177 467. Email us on info@camnetvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
To create a positive difference in people's lives, one must first understand the way people live. At Savenda, we're here for our community, our partners, and our future, as a nation and as a continent.
Back in 1997, we decided we were going to create this family journey into a bigger opportunity, and created a business called Savenda, which meant save nations to develop Africa.
It's always important to give back to the people. The government cannot do everything, but as business entities, we'll be able to reach a lot of people.
From our humble beginnings in the telecoms and mining sectors to our work in energy and development projects, we know how important it is to be true to our roots.
Our services have to be diversified so that we don't depend on one income stream. Back in the village, I was growing up hunting and doing everything that a village boy would like to do. When you're hunting, you don't depend on one trap, for example. You have to have many traps. So those survival skills brought into the business created opportunities that we learned from a young age that you can't survive with just one product. Savenda Group involves Savenda Management, which is a consulting, Savenda Express, which is a corporate branding company, Savenda Electric, which is a manufacturer of energy-saving bulbs, Savenda General Insurance, which is a general insurance company, Savenda Fresh Produce, Cyber Africa, which is a center for just dealing with cyber security.
Now, Savenda is combining local knowledge with international expertise. It's time to be a part of Zambia's rising success and Africa's exciting future.
We are a gateway into Africa, and now we are praying with global companies who are coming to Zambia for opportunities and to look for companies that are homegrown, and we are proud to be one of those.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. In our international news, EU leaders are meeting in their face-to-face summit since the coronavirus crisis, with low expectations of a deal on a 750 billion euros post-COVID stimulus package. French President Emmanuel Macron said it was a moment of truth for Europe and the next hours will be decisive. The main issue is how much of the recovery fund will be handed out in grants and how much in loans. They will also need to agree on a 7-year budget worth another 1.07 trillion. Arriving for the talks, German Chancellor Angela Merkel said the differences are very big and I cannot say if we will be able to find a solution this time. It would be desirable, she said, but people had to remain realistic. The Brussels meeting is due to continue on Saturday, but EU leaders may need longer to reach the deal. And in our sports news, Barcelona risks becoming a new AC Milan or Manchester United and being unable to compete for major honours, says club presidential candidate Victor Font. Font is set to challenge current President Josep Maria Bartomeu in 2021. Rivals Real Madrid won their first La Liga title in 3 years on Thursday. Font said Barcelona risks being one of the most successful clubs in Europe that is now not able to compete for the top titles. That sports news item brings us to the end of the main news, but before we go, a recap of the headlines. RPP president arrested. Z-Club questions ECZ's online voter registration process. Unemployed teachers protest. And international news, EU's moment of truth as leaders say COVID funding deal. In our sports news, Barcelona risks becoming Man United or AC Milan, Victor Font. The calendar verse of the day is coming from the book of Psalms 37 verse 25. I have been young and now I am old, yet I have not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. Thank you so much for joining me on the Camnet TV main news. My name is Banda Tandiwe. Pleasant viewing.